Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome back to another episode here on Chat TPK, the place for killer conversations about all things geek culture. It's me, Mike, again, and a big hello to any new listeners who are joining us on what is only our second episode. Now, before we crawl out through the fallout of today's topic, let me remind you to catch up on last week's episode, all about some of our favourite and least favourite, or best and worst, spells in D&D. Like this episode, all future podcasts are going to be uploaded on Spotify, so be sure to give us a follow there, and that way you'll have our newest episode ready and waiting for you every Monday. As well as this, come and join us over on Discord to have the opportunity to ask our panel lots of questions and engage with our growing community. We will also have a new quiz time this week, of course, Fallout themed. Which of our guests today knows their Brahmin from their bottle caps? And then finally, we will be looking at the month of May in regards to releases in today's release window, both in films and video games. With that said, there's plenty to look forward to, so let's crack right on.
War. War never changes.
Right, with that housekeeping done, it's time to meet our wonderful guests who will be giving us their insight and opinion on this week's topic of Fallout, the show versus the games. Well, never leaving a stone or bobby pin unturned, it is our lone wanderer, Alec. Alec, good afternoon, my friend. How are you doing?
That's a pretty apt introduction, to be fair. Yeah.
Literally.
We'll get into it in a bit.
Love
never, ever leave a chest or a locker unsearched, ever.
Every empty bottle, every toy car, every circuit board has its use.
Absolutely.
Are you doing well? Are you feeling, or are you looking forward to this episode?
Yeah, super looking forward to it. Should be good.
Fantastic.
Have a lot of, hopefully have a lot of useless knowledge about Fallout that might actually come in handy, so that'll be good.
Perfect. That is one of the reasons why I've got you on board for this week. Now, how much Fallout have you played? Like, have you played just like Fallout 3, or have you?
I remember back myself, to be fair, because Fallout 3 definitely had a lot of hours in Fallout 3 in New Vegas. 4, a little bit shorter. 76 a little bit, and then dabbled with like 1, but never really got
it's hard to play, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So gave up.
Fair. I mean, we've played a lot of 76 together, and Fallout 3 and 4 has been out for many a year. But out of all of them, what would you say is your favourite?
Good question. It might be. So it's easy to say 3, isn't it? So easy. 3 probably is, but probably just because I have so many nostalgic memories about it, and it was the first proper Fallout game I played, so it was like the first time experiencing it with no like preconceived ideas about what it was going to be. Yeah,
it was all brand new, exciting. That kind of makes sense. Fantastic. Well, it's good to have you, Alec, and this will hopefully not be the last episode we'll have you on. Hopefully, we'll have you for many more to come. Now, our next guest is so rad that he broke all the Geiger counters in New Vegas. It's our mysterious stranger. It's Joe. Good evening, or good afternoon, Joe. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I am very well, my friend. Now, same question to you. What's your level of experience with Fallout as in terms of its universe?
Started with Fallout 3. That was probably one of the first games I got with the PS3 back in.
Oh, we played on PS3. Interesting.
Yeah, 2008. I'm not too up on the PC elements of it, so I missed 1, 2, and Tactics, and then jumped straight into Fallout 4. I do remember picking it up on release day for the PS4. So, however long that's been.
Yeah. You managed to dabble in any 76 at all? The online version of it?
Not fantastically. I kept my eye on it, and then
a lot of bugs at the start. To be fair, so you'd be surprised.
And then I just kind of let it slip by, if I'm honest.
Yeah, that's fair. There are lots of things to do within life, and 76 has only recently got fairly decent. So maybe at some point you may go back to it. Well, who knows? Anywho, let's crack on, because I'm assuming we've all watched the show.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think I've rewatched it already as well, to be fair.
I think you'd watched it twice by the time, Alec, that I'd watched it. Well, hadn't even watched the first episode or something. Like, you've watched it insanely quick.
might have to edit that if we lose the quiz as well. So,
Yeah, you've just done it for
Yeah.
revision purposes, haven't you?
Pretty much. But yeah, no, I've watched it a few times myself. And Joe, I'm assuming you've watched it all the way
All
through.
the way through.
So
Yep.
for people listening, this is likely to have some spoilers in. We're not going to attempt to be spoilery on purpose, but just our conversation is quite free flowing. So if you are worried about us spoiling the show and you haven't finished it yet, maybe consider coming back to listen to us after you have. And if you're still here, I'm assuming you have watched it. So let's crack on. The first thing I'd like us to discuss in regards to the show is actually probably the storyline itself. Now, the storyline of Lucy, our vault dweller, is that her father is stolen, essentially, by the character of Moldava, and it is Lucy's quest to go and find him. Now, this is actually very, very similar to that of Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. Is it too similar? Is it compelling enough for old players of the Fallout games to actually be invested in this story? Or is it a bit too cliche? I don't know. What's your take on this, on this, Alec? What do you think?
I don't know. I think there's obviously that story or that kind of premise runs pretty solidly throughout the Fallout games and everything else. And while obviously maybe the core audience or the core people interested in the Fallout series are probably going to be gamers and people who have played Fallout, for people who have never experienced the series or the lore, it makes perfect sense to just reuse that same storyline, doesn't it? So as a hook, essentially.
I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But Fallout New Vegas had a different one in which that you were a courier and you were delivering something, and then I think within is it the opening cutscene you literally get shot in the head, don't you?
Yeah, but then they kind of parallel that through the whole retrieving the head essentially, or what's in the head at the end of the thing, without giving any too many spoilers. But that's kind of a central theme as well, to be fair. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's where else you start from as well, I guess, in the Fallout series. It's
well, if not in the vault, where exactly?
and like so much of the premise of the Fallout as a franchise is like 1950s Americana, kind of like the ideal family setting, etc., and everything else. So kind of
the nuclear family, as it were.
Yeah, the nuclear family, exactly. Yeah. So it kind of blends into that a little bit as well.
So, were you both happy with how this series ended? And obviously, there is going to be a series 2, but has it left enough questions unanswered to want you to pursue it? Like, obviously, it's a great show, but is there a story there to be consumed still?
Yeah, I think so. You've got the ending of them going off to New Vegas.
It was Vegas, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
In the horizon, you do see. Is it Hank McClane in his suit?
Yeah, he gets the suit and he flies off. So there was that, and then how Lucy's going to track him down. Will the ghoul follow? That kind of thing. I think there's enough there, especially since the first series was eight episodes.
Yeah.
I think they can do a decent story in 8 episodes if they follow the same sort of formula.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where they go and how much of the actual lore they touch upon of New Vegas. Like, is the series going to take place solely in there, or obviously Maximus, is he going to follow to New Vegas, or is he going to stay within Los Angeles where they currently are?
Yeah,
so there's a. No, you could go for it.
Sorry, bud. I was just thinking aloud, but I'm pretty sure that in Fallout New Vegas, there's a separate faction of the Brotherhood of Steel, right? Separate from the main faction is like the key Brotherhood element in New Vegas.
Yeah, I do remember them being slightly different. They don't play as big a part in the storyline because the main factions in Vegas are obviously the NCR and Caesar's Legion, aren't they? They're the really big ones.
And kind of like
that'd be interesting.
Yeah. So it's it is. Well, that's the only thing that jumped out at me is like obviously, Maximus doesn't quite know where he lands within the Brotherhood, as it were, existing, and whether or not secondary faction Brotherhood might come into play. Essentially,
yeah, he's in a bit of a strange position at the moment with the way the series ended, in that he obviously had made the decision with Lucy that he'd go, once the whole head business was over and done with, he would then go and try and live with her in the vault. That obviously hasn't happened. What's he going to do next? Is he going to, I don't know, like, is it likely that he's going to try and pursue her, or is he going to try and, he had his hand being raised up, he was being claimed as a knight. Is he going to try and stick it out in the Brotherhood?
Well, I think where they left it was that it seemed like, because he was the one that brought the end to their skirmish on the observatory, that he would possibly lead that faction. I don't know if that came across to you guys.
He's taken the credit of killing Moldava, isn't he? So
yeah,
so he's now essentially a war hero, isn't he?
Yeah, so it could be that he takes over. Maybe he does go after Lucy and have some dealings in New Vegas for a bit.
Yeah,
I think. I think that's probably.
To be fair, I completely missed the whole Las Vegas in the background of that shot. Over my head completely. I
go back and watch it. It's good.
They were going more...
I think it was the post credit as well.
Oh, was it fair? Oh,
I think so.
Okay, I think in my mind, the way they were going with Hank and everybody else was more like down the Enclave route, potentially, and exploring all of that.
They've not really made much of a... I was going to come on to this at some point, but yeah, now you mention it. The Enclave, one of the biggest factions, especially in Fallout 3, is barely featured in this at all.
Yeah, no muties either.
No, what, sorry?
Super mutants.
No super mutants as well. No death claws. Although you do see a death claw skull.
Light on the beasties, weren't they?
Yeah, they were very light. And obviously, is that a budget thing, do you think? Maybe. Who knows? But yeah, it does leave a lot of the actual wealth of monsters for them to to try and shove into the next series. Now, we've obviously mentioned Lucy, her story of leaving the vault, and we've obviously mentioned Maximus and him trying to climb up in the ranks of the Brotherhood. One of my favourite storylines, and the fact that it went back and forth quite a lot between the past and the present, was that of the Ghoul. Is he an anti-hero or is he an antagonist? I wasn't quite sure. What do you think?
I don't know. I think he was it's ghouls are kind of an interesting part of the Fallout world anyway, aren't they? The fact that they essentially pre-end of the world day people who are then surviving into the future and have all this knowledge.
But they're hated though, aren't they?
For me, his storyline was interesting, good, but it's not potentially one of the more interesting ghoul storylines they could have picked out of the Fallout world. If you know what I mean? Whenever you came across ghouls in Fallout, in my experience, it's always the case that they're harping back to a lot of their pre-bomb day experiences, if you like. And
they gave a lot of their own exposition, didn't they?
Yeah, they did a lot of exposition. He didn't really do that. They just did it through flashback. You know what I mean? Which kind of watered it down a little bit for me, but still a very fun character, obviously, to be fair. And
excuse the pun, but he wasn't very fleshed out, was he?
He obviously has loads of backstory, but just the fact that because they're showing you his backstory in flashbacks means he doesn't really harken back to it in his present conversation. Yeah, per se.
I don't think it's until they shoot Hank at the end when they're in the observatory, again, spoilers, that he actually says, where is my wife? Where's my family even? Where's my family? So we don't actually know for sure up until that point that he is actively searching for them. He gets asked many a time through the series, why do you keep on going? Why do you keep on going? He doesn't say anything, does he? He doesn't say, I'm looking for my family. So it's not until the end of the series that quite key plot point of his motivation as a character is divulged to the viewer.
Yeah, I guess.
I think that's a fair comment, but they've introduced the medicine that he takes to stop him going feral.
Was that Radaway?
I don't know if it is.
No, it was like a serum, wasn't it? I was gathering it was more like a serum.
Yeah, I don't think it's cropped up in the games. I could be wrong, but
no, I think you're
I thought
right.
that was interesting because he was also fighting becoming feral all the way through. So maybe that had something to do with it. Like when when he got to the climactic scene and he found out what he found out, that's when it came into play.
Yeah, maybe that was ultimately just a device that they decided to use to put him in a position where he trades Lucy, and Lucy kind of has her arc narrative through suddenly understanding that I think that's kind of a turning. That episode is kind of a turning point for her character a little bit. There's a few obviously turning points for her character through the series, but like that's a big one of like finally understanding that you can't help everybody in the wasteland. Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, it's like an awakening, isn't it? That it's this. Is it the Super Duper Mart scene where she starts?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
where he sells her for all those medicines.
I think maybe like the remembering the way he was taken out of the casket. I feel like there were some Radaway bags that were hooked like intravenously through the car. I don't know. I need to double check that, but I feel like there were some Radaway things. And then you see later on, Maximus put Lucy on one, and you just see it's in like another UV sort of bag as well. So I feel like they're the same thing, but yeah, it just strikes me as weird. Like, is Radaway in the games the way in which it stopped them from becoming feral? I never crossed that as a quest line or anything.
No, I don't recall that either. Yeah. The only thing I'm thinking in Fallout 3, there's that hotel full of ghouls, isn't there? Which is essentially like your alternate kind of home basing to Megaton.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to recall whether there's anything in there, because they're obviously all ghouls that are surviving and not turning feral.
Yeah.
But I don't recall if it is that.
Out of all the characters that are in the series, who would you say is the most likable? Who are you rooting for the most?
Godsworth.
Yeah. We'll be sure to mention Codsworth.
He just wants to get on with a little bit of amputation.
Mm-hmm. He is just simply going to harvest our organs, but there's actually one little bit. It's not one of the really famous lines with which he's saying, but it's when he's like wheeling her through after putting her on the. I think it's when he got her on the gurney, and he's like asked her like, "Where have you come from?" And then she doesn't answer, but he carries on answering as if she has, like, I hope to visit there someday. And it's just like...
She like groans or something? I can't remember. Yeah, it's just like...
It's just like, yeah, his mannerisms are spot on. And, it is a fantastic character. I'm very, very happy with the casting that they had for that as well. Yeah. That's I couldn't think of anyone better for it. So Codsworth, fantastic character.
Just solely because he's the most Fallout of all of the characters, I think, in the series.
Yeah, it's quite nostalgic. His sort of voice, isn't it? It's very, very proper English butler. So, Joe, any characters in the series that you have enjoyed watching and are rooting for going forward?
I'm always rooting for Dogmeat.
Oh my goodness,
Dogmeat was incredible.
When he got trapped in that little locker, I was like, that cannot be in a Dogmeat.
Yeah.
And then the ghoul let him out, and it's just like, this is it. This is going places now.
Because the ghoul had a dog back in the past, didn't he? Was it Roosevelt or something?
Yeah, you're right there. Roosevelt sounds right. Yeah.
So now basically he's now got his new loyal companion, which is quite nice. And isn't it funny that Dogmeat was trapped in a red rocket?
Yeah.
Red rocket thing, because at the start of Fallout 4 is where you find with Dogmeat, isn't it?
Yeah, which was an obvious nod, wasn't it? To be fair, but,
for sure.
Yeah, nice little Easter egg.
There were no rats though. There were no mole rats coming up.
No mole rats, yeah.
So they were absent from the whole series as well, really, weren't they?
Yeah. To be fair, like obviously, I mean, it's obviously not a video game; it's a series, right? So there's just got to be narrative progression all the time. You can't keep literally getting sidetracked. But one of the things that's like definitely missing is the fact that random creatures will just explode out the ground or like suddenly appear effectively and give you these instances of chaos, which other than like the fiends on the bridge didn't really happen at all.
Oh yeah, I missed that the first time about the fiends because they were the people that ate that cannibals.
Yeah, they explained what they were and then never really touched on it ever again. So it's like completely redundant essentially.
If they hadn't said about them being cannibals, I don't think they're just saying fiends.
Yeah, they never show people being cannibalistic or anything otherwise, do they? It's just like it's a bit odd.
Yeah, and there was only one rad roach in the entire thing.
There weren't many rad roaches. I didn't see a rad scorpion. I didn't see like a bloat. Is it a bloat fly that they're always buggering about
Yeah,
Yeah, they're all
everywhere?
about. No,
I
none of
think
that.
if you hadn't played the video games, did they ever really explain mutation in the animals at any point? I don't think they
No,
do, other than
not at all.
when they go to the other vault, and but then
Oh
there
yeah,
they sort of explain them as genetic experiments essentially, rather than as
yeah.
radiation based mutations.
Yeah,
So you could be really confused as to actually what's going on there. Why are there suddenly these giant cockroaches?
But my wife watched it with me, and she's never played the games at all, and she didn't actually. She just kind of like went along with it. I think she just assumed like radiation has changed them all,
No, fair enough.
but she didn't really question it too much. But yeah, I can see maybe some people may make that may be a question which they might be thinking, what is happening to the wildlife here? We see a Brahmin. We do see a Brahmin in Philly with its two heads. So that's something we do see, and we don't really see it elsewhere. Like we don't see any wandering caravans of Brahmin, which is a shame because they're always fun to rob.
Yeah, I guess that. Yeah, true. And the other part is like such a big part of those games. Well, such a big part of those games for me is just like inventory management. And there's like one they have a little nod to it with the Brotherhood's,
yeah, the over encumbered joke.
squires,
That massive bag! Oh my
Bag.
goodness!
which again is a bit like it's a bit on the nose, right? Because it's a bit like okay, they're over encumbered, but if you didn't know what over encumberment was because you never played the game or any RPG, you'd be like, okay, why do they have a giant bag? Yeah.
Do they have that in the game? No. Do you just? It's just in you, isn't it? It's just
Just
part of
carry
you.
too much, essentially, aren't you? Right. So, like, I always think of over encumberment more like everything's in your arms. You got so much stuff dropping in your backpack. You're trying to like carry it in your arms, and it's like dropping out your arms as you're walking.
Yeah. Now the assault rifle they have in that bag. I mean, I think that is in Fallout 4. I didn't realise it was such a big piece. It's almost like an LMG in terms of its size.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense. But then I thought the 10 mil pistol looked really oversized as well.
They had a few different ones. They had a few. There's one that Lucy was using, which looks more like the iconic 10mm pistol. There was another one that was on the actual armor, the Brotherhood of Steel armor, T60. And I don't know if you look closely, it doesn't look like anything from the games, but they've actually used like a Desert Eagle and just put some strange thing on the barrel.
I didn't
Which,
catch that. Right.
yeah, so it's almost like a cross between like a Desert Eagle and then like a laser pistol with the strange like gap below the barrel. It's a really odd one, but yeah, if we do watch it again, look at the pistol that Maximus uses when he is trying to shoot in the water for the gulper. That's a pistol that's not in any of the games, and I'm not really sure, considering all the choices of pistols they could have had from the games, they went with something completely brand new and different. I thought that was an interesting choice, to say the least. Any other weapons in the game that featured in the series at all? Can we remember?
Well, obviously the ghouls using like random shotguns and bits and pieces. I don't know whether or not how accurate those are to anything you might find, but I feel like they'd be more New Vegas orientated.
Yeah,
weapons.
there's a lever action rifle in New Vegas and in Fallout 76 as well. I don't think there is in Fallout 3 or Fallout 4.
Yeah, I guess they give a bit of a nod in terms of the ghoul to like him using specialized ammunitions as well, which obviously is part of the game.
It's like slug rounds, isn't it? Which
Yeah, but they never
is
really
part
are
of,
like almost explosive rounds, but they never really actually explain any of it. They're just like, yeah.
You look at this bandolier, and they're different
Yeah.
colours as they go down, and yeah, again, that's not really explained. So unless you're big on guns, you probably wouldn't realise there's a difference going on at all. So I don't know. We see obviously the miniguns in the vertibirds. I'm trying to think what other weapons there are. We see in that shop, the shop in Philly. She's got an array of weapons on her wall. I think there's a laser rifle up there as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, did actually any? I'm trying to think because I don't recall any laser weapons or plasma weapons or
No
any kind
plasma,
of
no.
being used in the whole series, even in the really big battle for the observatory at the end. Mm-hmm.
That was a cool battle. That was shot very well, to be fair.
It was shot very well. It was very cool.
I think that they were just they were just nods to the game with what they had in the shop.
Yeah.
I think they tried to keep it very grounded by using bullets instead of lasers. because the technology didn't seem to have moved on that much.
Well, this is it. You can remake bullets. Can you easily remake laser cartridges? So maybe they're a lot rarer because this is so far. This is over 200 years in the future. 20 years in the future. Are there any laser stuff left to be used apart from,
Okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, to be fair,
Yeah.
logical.
I don't know. You did see some people using pipe rifles in Philly. Obviously, those sort of like handmade weapons.
Yeah, it's just a shame if they decide to take that route though, because like again, another kind of interesting aspect of the game is that kind of science fiction element of it.
Yeah.
Keep it to like more traditional kinetic weapons is a bit dull when there's so many better options. Like, I mean, it'd be great to see a rocket sledge at some point, or something
Super
like
sledge,
that.
yeah.
Super sledge.
Hopefully, if the super mutants do make an appearance, you're just going to see like one of the big like super mutant masters or overlords just rock up with a sledge and just go to town on some Brotherhood of Steel people or something. But yeah, so there's an array of weapons within the show, but I look forward to seeing some more in the next series. We've mentioned obviously some of the creatures, some of the weapons, robots. Joe, what robots are in the show that you remember from being in the games?
I've just got the obvious one, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's the only one that I can think of. It's Codsworth.
It is Codsworth. Yeah, so that's based on like a Mr. Handy model, isn't it?
Yep.
And they're pretty frequent in the game. Fallout 4 especially, you have one at home with you, don't you?
Yeah, he's got one.
Yeah. Alec, do you remember seeing any of the
Yeah,
robots?
a couple more. So you got Robo Brain.
Is there a Robo Brain?
Obviously.
Oh, at the end, yeah, with the
At the end, yeah. What's his chap?
Bud.
Yeah.
He is at the very end. He's like a mini one, isn't he? But yeah, Robo Brain. That's very, very true.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever recall, because I think in the game, from what I remember, most of the ones I recall were either on android bodies or floating, essentially, on somewhere. I don't really recall them being on tracks, but I could be wrong.
Isn't it New World Blue? Sorry, is it Old World Blues where the DLC on?
Yeah, the DLC where you go to like all the lobotomizing and everything else.
It's just a society run by brains, which is an interesting DLC. Not my favourite one by any means, but yeah, that was interesting. So they're Robo Brains. They were obviously, as you said, Joe, Mr. Handies. Did anyone spot the first time Lucy came out of Vault? I won't say the Vault because that's definitely not a question later on in the quiz. Did anyone spot the Assaultron that was all like rusted in the sand?
Yeah. Just didn't think of it in the sense of a robot because it was dead and
it's
rust.
true. Yeah, but I mean that they would have been quite cool to have seen. Because in the games they're incredibly deadly, aren't they? With their beam cannons. What are those massive hulking ones? They definitely weren't in it, but they would have been pretty cool.
Sentry bots.
Sentry bots. They would have been pretty cool. I feel like maybe like using them at the observatory. That would have been quite interesting to see as well. But again, as I say, with like the laser pistols and the plasma stuff, like having robots, is that something that they've just gotten to such a state of disrepair? They're not just as frequent. I don't know. I mean,
it's got like robo trains and everything else. There's a fair bit of like technology based stuff kind of missing a little bit. Yeah.
Now the head scribe of the Brotherhood says that the Brotherhood itself has gone down in terms of its like superiority. Is that going in parallel with this diminishing level of weaponry, diminishing level of technology? Maybe that's why the cold fusion thing is so vital, because they need that to be prosperous again. Just thinking out loud there, really.
Yeah, it's true. It's like,
yeah, you've got a point. Like when we were talking about the split factions earlier, one of them, from memory, goes after the tech, and the other one just concentrates on being the big force. So maybe that the Brotherhood we saw was actually the smaller faction, and we get to see the big one in the next series.
Yeah, true.
Like the Enclave, you think it might be the Enclave then? or
No, like returning to there's like split factions on within the Brotherhood.
Yeah, and the Brotherhood.
oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
I think the narrative is that one goes down the path of trying to reclaim tech for themselves to hoard, essentially, and the others are to reclaim it to use to help people. I think that's very cool. But,
Yeah, because I kind of feel like the paladins in like Fallout 4. I can't remember his name, but you meet him fairly early on. He is all like very heroic, very D&D-esque in terms of his paladin nature, out there to save people. Didn't really get that feeling from any of the knights in the series.
No, they seem very insular.
No, they were.
Yeah,
they were a bit of an arsehole all the way through, all of them.
Titus was just a bit of a coward and
Yeah.
quite a forgettable character.
Although I did like that dynamic between Maximus and Titus. I thought that was quite good, to be fair. That was interesting story writing, at least, rather than making it just very kind of dull. And I don't really recall any quests or side quests that might relate to that. So that does just seem like original writing, to be fair.
Yeah, no, the dialogue throughout this was incredible. Sometimes when you can kind of like see when they're trying really hard to try and be funny, like recent Avengers movies are suffering from this. I think now and again, it wasn't cringy. I thought they got the tone right. I think the characters were all really quite enjoyable and fun and quite endearing. Yeah, I just think the writers done a very good job in that respect.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at other, video game based conversion franchises, there's not many that are actually done well at all. Most of them are usually pretty poorly received, or at least traditionally, they've all been pretty negative, right? So
yeah, I mean, Joe and I guess Alec as well. Have either of you seen The Last of Us, the series?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and Joe, have you seen it yet?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, as a video game adaptation, I thought that was probably the best one that there ever has been. I can't think of a better one than that. But I think maybe Fallout is not too far away.
I was going to say the opposite, I
Yeah.
think Last of Us is still probably a better adaptation, but maybe that's just because it's easier and that game's all about suspense. So you don't actually have to have the enemies happening so much. I don't know.
I think for me it was a choice of
preference
because Fallout had the humour, and for me that's a big winner. So
True.
I prefer it to The Last of Us, which was it was dry or pretty much all the way through.
Quite
with
depressing,
like a
wasn't
few
it? Quite
lines here or
depressing.
there.
Yeah. Fallout's
Give me
happy-go-lucky.
upbeat.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
could have it could be like I feel like it. The only really like wacky thing in there was Codsworth's Hobbit. Everything else was a bit not dry, but like dry for Fallout for me. One of the things I love about the series is like so much wackiness in every encounter you come across.
Yeah,
And I guess
that's true.
you can only have that to a point. But
They've got to
like-
keep it quite vanilla in a sense to not put off
maintain
new viewers of the franchise. That was the word I was looking for earlier. Franchise. Right, guys, we'll be right back just after this very short break. Okay, and we're back. Right, Joe, Alec, we are very close to finishing our chat this week about Fallout. So just before we look to move on for this week's quiz time, which I know you're probably both very excited about, could I ask you, definitely, could I ask you for maybe one or two things that actually the show didn't do or you wish it had have done?
Well, for me, it would be more Fallout monsters.
That's fair.
I don't know how they would have done it, but even if we just caught a glimpse of a Deathclaw, that would have been...
We saw a skull, but yeah, I think I would
me.
agree. I would have loved to have seen a fight with a Deathclaw. Like that monster is probably the epitome of Fallout for me. That one monster.
Yeah. Or at least just have like a scene where it's at night and you get flashes of it running through a derelict house or something like that.
Foreshadow
I think
it,
that would
like
have-
just say there's something out there, but build it up, because I think if it comes in the next series and you've had no pre-mention of it, I think it's not going to be as grandiose as it. So yeah, I think that's a good shout. That would have been good to have seen for sure. Alec, anything within the series you would have liked to have seen apart from obviously more funky humour?
Yeah, I don't know. More like I guess more into the trading side of things. Obviously like Lucy kind of just stumbles upon her. Well, she, naturally as you go through like the game as well, you get better gear and loot, but like there's no real trading anywhere, other than the ghoul buying some tomatoes at some point.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And I think Maximus doesn't need like trade his tooth and then get some bottle caps to.
yeah, like exactly,
Yeah,
like that's
that's
the only
the best.
real reference to any kind of skill based thing of like speech or barter or anything like that is that one scene with Maximus. And again, I think perhaps it's more just a bit of a nod to people who've played the games because they're the only people that would probably appreciate that you essentially failed a skill check at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Failed like the persuasion check, but the speech check, isn't it? I think for me, there's not much lock picking. I can't think of a single occasion.
Nowhere near enough lockpicking. I probably played like 200-300 hours of Fallout 3 and probably 50 hours was lockpicking. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
although they did show terminal hacking, right?
they did. Norm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was quite cool. My wife was like, "What on earth is this?" And I was like, it's just a hacking screen from the game." And he gets it first try. So unrealistic.
Yeah, he absolutely should have at least like gone down to the wire and had the last thing have him close. But yeah, they could have actually. Fair, it would have been cool if they'd shown like the little kind of I guess actual hacking
Attempts.
in it of like the attempts and the finding the refreshes.
There's like the duds and the refreshes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been cool. That'd been cool. I think we're probably in agreement on that.
Sorry, the only other thing it would have been great if they'd put a nod to is if somebody couldn't get through a door they were trying to get through because it was loading or something like that. Some little nod like that would have been great.
Yeah, that would have been very breaking.
Just cut to an info screen of the monster.
Yeah, that would have been breaking the fourth wall. But no, yeah, it's a good point. The Fallout loading screens where you can just like rotate the 3D images are pretty funky. I like them. So let's think about our closing remarks. Now, would you recommend this to anyone that's never played a Fallout game? Do you think there's a high appeal there, Jay?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm not too up on Fallout myself, so 3 and 4 I've played. New Vegas haven't played, but know of it. And I really enjoyed it. The story flowed really well. The characters were, for the most part, really well written.
Good.
Really good.
Okay, so obviously there are like little references here and there, which as you say, you've played it, but maybe not as a hardcore player. So one or two things may have passed you by, but the general sense of enjoyment was there for you.
Yeah. I mean, that was always going to be the case with any. As long as the adaptation's done really well, the Easter eggs, they're just bonuses for the players who've played it.
Or something you might notice on a rewatch or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I did as well. Alec, would you recommend it to a friend?
Yeah, I'd probably really recommend it to someone who has never really played or liked video games, to be fair, but has potentially more of an interest in like sci-fi and fantasy. Because one of the things I love about those games is the amount of lore and like background in it and storytelling. And I think the series delivers on that enough to make it worthwhile watching.
What other stories or books are similar to this? What I was thinking of was like The Road.
Yeah, The Road is similar. I mean, literally, there's a lot of, I don't know if you know this, there's a lot of inspiration from Fallout drawn from a film called A Boy and His Dog.
Okay, no,
which is a film, I can't remember when it was made, it's a very old film. It was made, I think, the 60s or the 70s. And it's essentially a story about a nuclear wasteland in which a boy comes across a dog who has telepathic powers and can speak to him.
Oh.
And they kind of go on an adventure together, but they do come across underground civilizations, not quite in the same way.
Hey.
Where there are a lot of similarities between Fallout and that film. So if you want a good watch of like, you're interested in like where it's come from, it's you can go watch that. And I think literally Dogmeat comes from that as well. There's a scene where the dog and the boy have an argument, and he refers to him as Dogmeat.
Yeah, that's one thing I will pick up on about Dogmeat. how the ghoul just randomly calls him dog meat, and it's like, well, it seemed a bit forced. That did. Would you just really call a random dog meat? I don't know.
Other things I'd say is, we've talked a little bit about like monsters and maybe budget issues with like
CGI and stuff. Yeah,
laser and stuff. But I mean, it must have had a massive budget. It's an Amazon production, right? So, interesting to see what they could do if it's popular and they get a second series. But
I think it's been great.
It has been confirmed as a cool. But then, 10 years ago, there was a web series called Nuka Break.
You mentioned to me this afternoon. I've watched the first half an hour.
And something
very,
that was
very
made
different
10 years
production
ago
values.
was exactly. But I actually think the prosthetic ghoul they have in that, if you've come across him yet as a character, is actually really good. Like as good, almost as Walton Goggins.
Yeah, I would recommend Joe. You just look it up on YouTube. Nuka Break. It's an interesting to see a comparison of low budget, high budget take on Fallout.
I mean, I've just done a quick search because this sounds amazing, and that had some budget, didn't it?
Yeah, they've been into After Effects and just.
I think they were literally using bottle caps to fund it.
At least 4 or 5 of them as well.
Now, Alec, you probably also remember this, but Rooster Teeth also did a little immersion on Fallout, which is also pretty fun. So I would, if you like the show, everyone, be sure to go watch the Rooster Teeth immersion episode of Fallout. I don't think it'll be on the website anymore because I think they've closed down now. But there is an archive out there somewhere, so you'll be able to find it if you type it in Google, I'm sure. But yeah, obviously there's so much more we can talk about Fallout. I think maybe if we do come to revisit it, we could speak about maybe our favourite weapons from the games, maybe favourite quest lines, maybe favourite characters, etc. So we'll leave those conversations for another day. What I would like to do now, gentlemen, is to put your brains to the test. So we are going to start this week's quiz time. Are you both ready?
Yep.
No, but we'll give it a go.
Joe is going to be having the buzzer sound of this.
The fudge? Fudge? There's no fudge here.
Classic Codsworth line. And Alec will be using the buzzer of this.
I'm simply going to harvest your organs.
Fantastic line as well. So if you hear those sounds, we know who is ready to answer. If you get the answer right, you'll hear this sound. And if you get the answer wrong, dear, hopefully you won't. Now, slightly different to that of last week's quiz time, but because our guests are so brilliant, we just want to see how special they are. So for every answer they get right, they will get one letter of special. So a bit like horse, but the special version, literally. Question number 1 for this week's quiz time. Which actor is famous for saying the line, war never changes?
Fudge. There's no fudge here.
Ron Perlman.
It is. It's Ron Perlman. That is a correct answer for you, Joe. 1-0. Or should I say, you've got an S. You've got an S. Okay, question number 2. Which company makes the robot Mr. Handy?
I'm simply going to harvest your organs.
Robco?
Robco is correct. Well done. Lovely stuff. That's an S for both of you. Question number 3. Quite an easy one. But who voices Codworth in the show?
Fudge. There's no fudge here.
Matt Berry.
That was very, very close. I will go to jail on that one. Just picked Alec there. He fudged his organs. Yeah, Matt Berry is the correct answer. I thought I'd sprinkle an easy one in. Funnily enough, off topic, both Alec, Joe and me play D&D together. And Alec, your D&D character is currently based off Matt Berry, isn't he? So.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
He's very devious.
Question number 4. This is what you can expect here on Chat TPK. We do like to go slightly off topic. Question number 4. What vault is Lucy's home vault?
I'm simply going to harvest your organs.
Ooh, Alec.
33.
It is 33. Good job. So, Alec, I think you've got an SP. and also so have you, Joe. So you're both on Spur.
Yeah.
Number 5. What does FEV mean?
I'm simply going to harvest your organs.
Alec?
Forced evolutionary virus.
Ding dong. That is correct. You've got SPE, Alec. Well done. Number 6. What is the currency of the Fallout universe?
Fudge. There's no fudge
Or
here.
just Pip-Boyed you there.
Wait.
Joe, what's the answer?
Bottle cap.
It is ye old bottle caps. Very nice. Thank you very much. You're both on SPE. Moving on to question number 7. Sticking with that of bottle caps, in New Vegas, what is the special drink that has its own
I'm
quest
simply going to
line?
harvest your organs.
Alec?
Sunset sarsaparilla.
Sunset Sarsaparilla.
I would have never known that.
It's all right, Joe. I'll take the hard ones. Don't worry.
Is it, Alec, is it called Quest of the Star? You've got to find 50 Sunset
You have to
Sarsaparilla.
find them, don't you? And then you have to get all the special stuff. Oh, it's a long quest.
That is a big one, yeah. But the prize is worth it, to be fair. Question number 8. Alec, you are on SPEC. You are on spec. Which is strange, because the next question rhymes with that. What does GEC mean?
Oh,
The acronym GEC.
I'm simply going to harvest your organs.
Go for it.
give it a go. Geological environmental conversion kit. No.
You got the last word right. It does stand for the Garden of Eden creation kit. There we go. Never mind, that's fine. You're both on. You're on SPE, and Alec, you're on SPEC. Let's carry on with question number 9. What creature does Maximus shoot in the head in the show?
Fudge?
Fudge. There's no fudge here.
Joe?
I'm going to get the pronunciation wrong. It's a yo guy.
I'll take that, Joe. It's a Yaguai. The big bear. Well done. You're both on.
Or yogi.
Yogi, yeah, I like it. Well done. Good memory there, Joe. He does indeed shoot the rampaging Yaguai that is attempting to bite Titus. And let's move on to question number 10. You're both on Spec. What weapon fires mini nukes?
Fudge?
Fudge. There's no fudge here.
Joe.
I'm going to get. Might get this one wrong as well. It's Fat Boy.
Fat boy.
Still?
Incorrect, Joe. Alec.
Oh,
Fat man.
Fat man.
You want the upgraded
Damn it.
version, the MIRV.
Yeah, the Merv. Oh, that fires like 10 at once, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's a good one. Fantastic.
I got my Fat Man and my Pit Boy confused.
But the thing is, there are so many boys in the show. There's Dandy Boy Apples, there's Pit Boy, there's other boys. There's
Other boys are available.
yeah, lots of the boys. Anywho, you are on SPECI. You're 2 away, Alec, so we're getting there. Which creatures have extremely hard shells and can be found near
I'm
lakes?
simply going to harvest your organs.
Alec?
Milo.
Mylex is correct. Great job. One more to go, Alec. You're on Specia. The iconic Rangers.
A little bit of luck on this one.
No, I think you'd be fine.
Hey,
The iconic Rangers worked for which faction?
I'm simply going to harvest your organs.
Alec, for the win.
NCR.
New California
California
Republic.
Republic.
Yeah, NCR will take. Well done, Alec. Fantastic job there. You are special. Well done.
I get told that all the time.
You're a very special little boy. Awesome. Right, you are this week's winner.
Other
Alec.
boys are available.
Other boys are available. Now, I do not have any prize to give you, but as Martin said in last week's episode, you just get the bragging rights, which we will be sure to mention at next week's D&D session. So this brings us on to the last part of this week's show, and this is release window. So, in release window, we will be discussing all of the goings on in terms of video games and films, everything that's going to be released for the month of May. We're going to go through them one by one, and if you want to tell us anything about the game or the film, or maybe you're looking forward to something in particular, then just jump on in. First thing we'll start off with is Paper Mario 1000 Year Door. Joe,
Yeah.
is this a game you're going to get?
Yes. It's
What's it on? Is it just Switch?
yeah. It's the second. It's a remake of the second entry of Paper Mario, which came out on the GameCube all those years ago.
Nice.
Been remade for the Switch. Looks really lovely.
Is it been upraised? Is it not just like it's not just like
No, it looks like
a reskin? They've made it completely again, yeah.
I think so. Nintendo have been very coy on the specifics about it. It looks like it's been given as fresh a coat of paint as Super Mario RPG, which came out last year.
That looks very good, actually. To be fair, I very nearly picked that up in the sale.
Fantastic game. You should.
Is that worth picking up? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
going off topic. That is Square Soft doing a Final Fantasy game with Mario characters. It's
I will go
brilliant.
buy that straight after this podcast. Then. Fantastic. That's getting released on the 4th. Oh no, sorry, probably the 23rd of May.
Yeah,
so in about
couple of weeks.
2 weeks' time.
Yep.
Just after the release of this podcast. We are recording this podcast just a little bit before the release of the podcast, obviously. We are recording it in the past. Anywho, moving on. So Paper Mario to look forward to. We have got Hades 2, which has been released on early access. Gentlemen, have either of you managed to play Hades 1 at all?
I haven't. I've heard very good things about it. But
it's a fantastic little roguelite, which isometric, similar to that of I'd say Diablo. If you've played Diablo,
yeah, those are the vibes that I get from looking at it.
Yeah, not as much in the way of like loot, but you do get like upgrades and stuff. And yeah, the actual first game itself, very successful, released on all platforms. Looking forward to playing Hades 2, and Hades 2 is going to be coming out and making its way, I believe, to PC first of all, later on, I think this week. So yeah, look out for Hades 2. Other things that have been released on the consoles is System Shock. So System Shock is a kind of like, it's like the inspiration behind BioShock, because System Shock itself is a very, very old game.
Yeah.
It's been on PC for a year. It's now on consoles. Are you much of a first-person shooter, Joe?
I dabble. System Shock.
Yeah.
Isn't it like an old PlayStation game? Like
it started on, I think it was on PC originally,
right.
yeah. But
it's that kind of age, isn't it? Because this is another ground up. This one's definitely a ground up remake. Yeah,
complete remake. Yeah. Alec, I know you played a lot of BioShock. Do you think now it's on Xbox? Do you think you'll have a look at System Shock?
Yeah, not to say that I have a type in video games, but yeah, I mean, dystopian past worlds set in a kind of retro style with mysteries going on. Yeah, it sounds like something I'd play.
Yeah, and it's very cyberpunk. Sorry, I've got a rabbit biting my foot. Thank you, rabbit. Yeah, and that's been released on May 21st, later on this month. And probably the last game to look at on our list is, Alec, I know we used to play a lot of this, but Destiny 2, the Final Shape expansion, the biggest expansion, I think also the last one, that's going to be released on it's actually the 4th of June, so it's not actually in May, but I
threw it on there because, it's going to be big, in my eyes anyway.
Yeah,
I picked up Destiny 2 again recently after watching just like some Let's Plays of it in the background, and that game is still a lot of fun.
It is a good game. I do feel like if you want to take it seriously, you need to be playing it a lot. You need to be going to Xur quite a lot and getting all the materials, and it's just. Yeah, every season I just feel like I get left behind, so it's...
Yeah, I mean, we could do a whole nother episode on it. It does feel like a bit of a grinder, doesn't it, to be fair, sometimes, where it doesn't really need to
In all fairness, Bungie, over the last, year, they've put in story checkpoints to catch people up for that.
Oh, really?
So there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I always love logging back in and seeing myself level more light levels than I've ever managed to level
Yeah.
myself.
That's what you do to play this now. You just leave it for 6 months. You log back in and you're max level and you can carry on.
Fair.
But no, that one's going to be.
Are you going to be playing it then, Joe?
Yeah. Can't wait for that.
For sure. Nice. Well, that's in about 2 or 3 weeks' time, and you'll get to play it. In terms of film and TVs, I believe Fall Guy has been released, the new Ryan Gosling film and Emily Blunt. Apparently released to terrible box office takings.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like one of those films that all the best bits are in the trailer.
Yeah. It did seem like that, to be fair. It was a very long trailer as well. Like, the trailer was like a TV trailer, which, let's face it, they're normally about 30 seconds. This one was like 1 minute long, which is ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, I'll watch it. I probably won't watch it on its cinema release, but I will probably catch it when it's on streaming. So that's out this month. We've got Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga prequel with Anna Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth. That looks pretty good. That one with Tom Hardy was amazing, so I expect this one to be good as well.
Yeah, look.
We've got the It's I'm trying to think who's the person that directs it.
It's George. Is it George?
George.
Romero? No, he's not. He's the zombie guy, isn't
not George Romero. He's the zombie bloke. Yeah.
George Romesco.
On the tip of my tongue.
It's George Miller. George Miller. Yeah.
He knows how to make films, that George.
Yeah, it's a good series. I'm looking forward to seeing. I like Anna Taylor-Joy as well. In terms of TV, Doctor Who is back as well. For any of you Doctor Who fans out there, probably one of the geekiest shows around. But Joe, Alec, either of you going to be watching new Doctor Who?
Absolutely, super looking forward.
Yeah.
It's Eurovision weekend as well, so they do. I think it's 1 or 2 episodes, and then it's straight into Eurovision. Perfect for me.
Actually, I hope there's a crossover. That would be great.
Incredible.
They planned that.
So just if you are listening to this, we are filming this the weekend of Eurovision. So we are probably a week behind where you are if you are listening to this, but that's fine. That's okay. Wasn't it amazing at how many points Great Britain got? We won, right?
Yeah. And I
was that terrible?
Or let's just. I can't believe we came last. Then we've got both ends covered.
Let's hedge our bets. Yeah. Great idea, Joe. Fantastic.
Whatever wins, we'll leave in the edit.
Last thing I want to mention is the biopic about Amy Winehouse, Back to Black, is being released as well. So if you're a big Amy Winehouse fan, like they've done with Elton John and Bohemian Rhapsody, those sort of biopics about those, and Elvis, they're all relatively successful. So yeah, I'm sure this one will be just as interesting. So be sure to catch that one out as well in the month of May. And that is your release window for this month. Right, we're going to look to end the podcast here. Thank you all very much for joining us and making it to the very end of this podcast. We do appreciate you giving us your time. And thank you for joining us. We are going to be doing podcasts every Monday going forward. So if there's a topic you would like us to discuss, feel free to tell us both on the Spotify polls and also on our Discord channel. Be sure to follow us so it pops up on your Spotify when you open it up every Monday morning when we release. And be sure to tell your friends, because maybe your friend is looking for a geeky themed podcast for their weekly rotation, and I'm sure there's a space in it for us. So be sure to pass on the word. Massive thank you to my guests for today, both Alec and Joe. I appreciate you both coming on.
No worries. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no worries, bud.
It's been great having you. We'll do it again soon. Alec, I remember years and years ago we tried to make a podcast called Rex South, and that lasted 2 episodes. So we have equalled that. And
excellent, yeah.
We will be sure to have you both on again for a future topic. Thank you for joining us this week. We'll see you all again very, very soon. Joe, Alec, adios.
Sarah.
Catch you later.